So in this video, I'm going to show you how to convert your VFC inlet valves to dual stage valves. So not all VFC valves can be dual stage. So here's an example of one. This is a VFC inlet valve from an MP5 magazine, and you can see it has this little tiny port right there, that little hole. That's not sufficient to actually vent the gas from the top up here. What you want to look for is a valve that has a hole that size. Okay. From what I've seen, all of the VFC Glock mags come with the ports this size, so they have the potential to be dual stage valves. Now, here are everything up here is TM. So here's an example of a TM valve that is not a dual stage valve, that has no port on the actual body of the valve. And then here is a TM valve that does have that port. There we go. There we go. So you can see the difference. Now with VFC valves, or really any valve, but particularly VFC, they come with an O-ring in here that if you take it out, it should vent the gas from this port out the top. Sometimes it doesn't, right? So in that case, what you want to do is pick up a few TM valves, some cheap valves, okay? And you want the end cap right here, and you also want the stem, and I'll show you why. So let's try this one. So let's say you take the O-ring out of here and you test it and it's not working. One reason the VFC valves don't work as a dual stage valve even when you take out this O-ring is because there's an internal O-ring right here. That black thing is an O-ring. So take your valve out, press this in, and you want to see if that black O-ring in the port goes down. So you can see I'm pushing in, and the O-ring actually doesn't move even though the valve does. What it should do is move down as you press the valve in, right? And that way it'll move down and it'll let the gas come out. If your O-ring is stuck like this, what you want to do is replace this little cap. So before you go out and waste and spend some money buying TM valves, another thing you can do is unscrew the base of the stem about 0.5 millimeter. And what that'll do is it'll allow the O-ring space to move. So you can see how that one moves, right? The reason this works is because I believe this is a TM, no, I think this is a VFC stem. The VFC stem on the valve is actually a little bit too tall. So I think this is, yeah, so this is 633, right? Now I'm going to compare that to a TM stem. So let's see if we can get this off of here. Okay, so that's, let's say 635. That was its VFC. .573. So you can see the TM stem is a little bit shorter, and basically what that means, if I didn't mention it already, is that as you depress the valve, the little O-ring on the end, it has more space to move down. If the cap is too tall, then the O-ring will rest on the cap and it won't move past that port. And that's another reason why the VFC mags with the little tiny port isn't good enough, because sometimes that O-ring can't actually clear that hole and vent the gas. Okay. The next thing you want to take off the TM valve, besides the end cap, is the stem itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this out. And sometimes when you push it out, you'll capture the O-ring from the outside as well. So I'll just put that right there. Try not to destroy. This was the O-ring that was on the stem. I think I ruined it, but so in this hand, this is a VFC valve stem, very tiny, and it has a feature that we don't want. So you can see this kind of diagonal ledge right here. When the O-ring rests right here, and when you push down, the O-ring can slide up this smooth edge right here and come up. Versus the TM, it actually has a groove cut out, a ledge cut out for the O-ring that will capture the O-ring, and it won't allow it to slide up the stem. And this is what we want. So when you purchase the TM valve stem, remember to take the base cap and the stem and just transplant that into your VFC inlet valves. Okay. So this is an example. I just marked all of mine that work, all of my VFC valve stems that work with red Sharpie on the base, so I know which ones are which. So here's an example of, I've already replaced the base plate with the TM and the valve stem with TM. You could probably see it, it's silver. So this is what we're looking for. When we press in the stem, the O-ring will slide down and it'll actually contact this stem and clear this port just enough to let the gas flow out. And I'll show you what that looks like. That's what it should do. And then when you release the stem, it comes back up and it seals. Okay. Every time I've done this modification, it works perfectly. Sometimes when you try to just unscrew this partially and seal it with thread lock, sometimes what will happen is it'll still leak from up here. Sometimes. So this modification, just opening the valve stem slightly and removing the O-ring, it's not always 100%. So just keep that in mind. The only modification that's worked for me 100% is replacing the end cap and the stem with TM parts. Okay, so that's how I modified all of my VFC valve stems to dual stage. If you want, you can try that. I bought these really is just backup. Actually on accident, I bought these because I thought they were dual stage, but they weren't. But if you have something like this, you could take these end caps and these valve stems as well. You really just want to make sure that your valve stems have these cutouts like that in it. And that's pretty much it. That's how you convert your VFC valve stems to dual stage.